Hey guys, Victor Lynch here, Carolina Outdoor Magazine, coming with another Thursday night tackle bite. This week, thinking about doing a little jig flipping segment for some of you guys that are trying to start flipping jigs, wanting to know how to, some of the techniques to get it out and some of the ways to practice at home, maybe in the yard or something like that. When I first started flipping jig was actually outside, out on a picnic table with a little 5-gallon bucket about 20 feet away from me. So that's how I began flipping a jig. I guess some of the first things you can start doing is figure out which hand you want to flip with. I see a lot of guys flip with their right arm, which I like flipping my left hand because I'm right-handed anyway, so that way when I flip, I'm ready to go just in case one hits it as soon as it hits the water. That's why I like using my left hand, and I'm a little more accurate with my left hand, even though I am right-handed on everything else. But one of the key things to do when you're flipping a jig is you don't want to keep the jig back here because you've lost all your power and all your accuracy with that. So when I'm flipping, depending on what I'm after, I may bring that jig up here, way on up. I may bring it up here if I'm really trying to get something real powerful, trying to get it really accurate. But for most laydowns, I bring it about real length right here. That way it gives me a good way to swing this jig real good, and I can get it to where I want it. When you're first starting out though, maybe if you're out practicing in the yard or out on the boat, one of the best things to do is use your little dial right here on the side and tighten that dial all the way down, because you're going to backlash for a while when you're first starting. So what I would do, I'm throwing a 1/2 ounce jig, I would start unwinding that dial just until that jig starts to fall just a little bit. So that's a little too fast right there. But somewhere where it'll just barely fall, that way when you flip it, you're going to have a lot of backlashes when you start, but once you start getting used to it, you can start backing that dial off more and more, and it'll help you get out there farther and farther. And the least friction you'll have is the better flipper you'll get. So I'm gonna fix mine back the way it needs to be. I like to keep my dial wide, as loose as I can get it, but when you're first starting out, make sure you got it tightened down. It'll reduce most of your backlashes until you get the hang of it. So if I was first starting out, I would start out in the yard or something like that with about a 20-foot target. That's a good way to start out, because most of your targets when you're flipping is about 20 feet out. And once you get that down, after a while, start moving it back 5 feet, another 5 feet, and keep going. And once you get real good and comfortable with that, get you a smaller bucket or something, whatever you're flipping into, make the bucket smaller. That way you get more accurate with it. So the best thing I would flip, if I was starting out practicing, I would tie on an ounce weight or some kind of lure you don't really use. Just an ounce weight would be perfect, because you can get that feel for it, and it's easier to flip. And a lot of times it helps with the motion you need to swing with it. Let me show you the motion that, you know, it's all in the wrist really. If you'll watch my left wrist here, when I flip this bait, that wrist is doing all the work. And wherever my rod is, the tip of my rod is pointing, is where that lure is going to go. Got a stick fish. But like I said, wherever your rod ends up being is exactly where that's going to go, depending on the wind. Now, of course, the wind's going to play a factor in everything, but once you get good enough, you can actually play that wind and put it exactly where you want it, whether the wind's blowing or not. And once you get all that down, you want to start flipping it where when you hit the water, you barely make a splash. That way It keeps a quiet presentation to that bass, and it won't spook them as much when you flip it in there. So the best way to do that, like I said, bring it about real length. When you flip it in there, slow it. Start slowing it down with your thumb when it gets there. That's another thing you need to do when you're flipping. Use your thumb as a brake the whole time, because that's what's reducing the backlash is the thumb. Just, you know, barely apply that thumb, just like a brake on a car. Just barely apply it, and it'll reduce a lot of that backlash that you're going to get. So just kind of keep that thumb on there in one place. Once you do it, after practice it for a while, you'll get comfortable where you want your hand to be and where you like it at. You look at that reel right there. See how that line is just it's not in there tight. It's not real good. So once I go to flip it, I'm not going to get a really good flip. It's going to be not going to be a great flip. So what I'll do a lot of the times, I'll just throw that jig out in the middle of the lake and just wind it back. Make sure that line is in there real tight, compacted together. That's going to help you on your next flip. It'll help get you a cleaner flip and help you out. But like I said, just go out in the yard, anywhere, get up on a picnic table, stand on a stump, anything, and just start practicing from about 20 foot. Have your bucket out there, start practicing about 20 foot away from you. And once you get comfortable, keep moving that back. And you get comfortable with that, move it back some more, and then get you something that's even smaller than a 5-gallon bucket. And after a while, it takes a little time, and after hundreds of backlashes, you'll get it down and you'll be flipping just like the rest of the pros out there. But hope you guys can take something away from that. We appreciate y'all joining us.